What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. It is the end of the week. We are on the last day of the week right now. It is the 5th of January right now. $98.3 thousand is the price, and we have about 16 hours and 23 minutes left in this week to close. Being that it is the weekend, being that it is a Sunday, again, just like yesterday, how yesterday was kind of a nothing day, don't be surprised if Sunday's kind of a nothing day. If we move down to start the day out, well, we probably move back up to end the day. If we move up to start the day out, we move back down to end the day. If we get a serious move up today, maybe tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, we pull back for a higher low, and then we move up. If we move down today, same thing, right? We're going to move up through the beginning of the week. Either way, I do suspect that we're going to probably do absolutely nothing today, not too much at all. And over the coming week, we will start to move up higher to new all-time highs. We really could see new all-time highs by the end of this next week, within the next 7 days or 8 days maybe. And if we're not at new all-time highs, certainly making strides back above 100K, 106K. The next targets would be 113 to 120K based off of this here. A lot of coins have been targeting their 1886 to 200 level. I think that's something to note. Some coins even getting to their 2272s and beyond. That is something to note, but this is the primary expected area. We can go, this move can overall end all the way up here if it wanted to, but likely it doesn't move in a straight line. Likely you'll find resistance in this zone, right? You'll just kind of bounce off these lines, and maybe you do top off all the way over here, but it's not a straight line. You know what I'm saying? So it could end in February that you're all the way at 143K or something like that. But I do suspect that you're going to move up right now. I think that we're in the midst of this next move up. If we're looking at this on a daily time frame, looking at the RSI, we do have lower highs and lower lows. It does appear that we're in this downtrend here, right? Lower highs and lower lows. It would be nice if we could break this downtrend. I think a good signal for that would be getting above the 60, this level here. If we could just get a little bit higher, right? Whether it's today, whether it's over the next 3 days, it doesn't really matter. Essentially, I would like to just see us get above the 60 before we get below the 40 again. So we could drop from here, and that's fine. We could. In fact, it might even be implied that we would drop from here given the current trajectory of this RSI. And that's fine if we drop from here. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to go below this line. Again, we could go down today. We could even go down tomorrow and then pull up and break out. But what we don't want to do is go below the 40. What we do want to do is get above the 60, or if we pulled back from here at that point, probably we would just need to get above like 55 or something like that. But getting above the 60 beyond anything else is a bullish signal. We do our best work normally in price whenever we're above the 60 in the RSI. I want to look at the 4-hour time frame, and then let's wrap this video up. Maybe we'll look at the ribbon too. 4-hour RSI looks very bullish, bouncing off the 60 twice. That's nice. So we want continuation rather immediately. We did bounce off the 60 here. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4-hour periods. Now we got 20 minutes left, and we haven't really done anything with it. That makes me a little bit nervous that today could be a bit of a red day. We could pull back a little bit, and that's okay. I say nervous. It's not really that big of a deal, right? We're at 98.3K now. A nervous pullback on my end. What I mean by that is like maybe we move down to 95K, 96K. 95.9K, something around there. That'd be the kind of expected move. So something between probably like 95 to 96K. You're at 90K, 98K now. Might be on the table. Looking at the 1-hour RSI, I would agree with that. Actually, that context there, yeah. Bearish divergence dying off in volume. It's possible you can move up. Sometimes Bitcoin does this thing where it looks tricky, right? Or it does these tricky things where it's like right whenever it seems to make the most sense that it would break to the downside, that's just when it rips, right? And it's definitely been tricky. I feel like it did that recently with this move here, right? It was like right when it was the most convincing that it would go down, and the whole market was convinced that it would go lower, right? I'm sure there were some people that were calling for a low there. I was not one of them, but quickly that next day we did call for the low, right? We definitely did not miss most of this move. But what was I gonna say? Getting all distracted there with my vanity. Bitcoin does this thing in the midst of the bull markets, guys, during the strongest moves where it will psych you out, right? It'll look like it's about to break out and run to new highs right before it drops. It'll look like it's about to break out and see a more serious retracement right before it pumps. So don't be surprised if right now, while the 4-hour RSI and the 1-hour are very suggestive of this thing going down, don't be surprised if I'm wrong. We could be above 100K by the end of today. But if I'm right and the TA is not misleading me, and the volume dying off as we're moving higher is not misleading me, and the bearish divergence on the RSI is not misleading me, then I would potentially believe that based off this overall move here, from a low down here, to a high up here, the 382 would be a good area to find support at. Also, previous areas of support here, and resistance here and here. You go back in time, not really as significant going back in time, kind of, but so yeah, 95.9K, 95K itself, somewhere in that range is kind of what I think is going to happen. You're at 98.3K now, moving down, expecting that to last either between like the end of today or even going into tomorrow, and then we'll probably go from there and move up the rest of next week. So next week is going to be a bullish week for sure. I expect we'll be at new all-time highs by the end of next week, and if not by the end of next week, certainly by the beginning or by the following week, right? By Trump's inauguration, I suspect that Bitcoin will be on its way, if not already above 120K, 125K, something like that, right? So next week, we got to get things moving if that's going to become a reality. I do want to look at Bitcoin here, and then we can just finish up the video. BTC USD on the index. Looking great on the daily. We love this, right? Getting below the ribbon. It's a little bit scary sometimes, but while you have this yellow line on top and the red line on bottom, that's okay, right? That's just bullish kind of contracting is what that is. Getting back above the ribbon, that is that breath of relief that we're seeing. Okay, that is the low. We're ready for the ribbon to expand again. The yellow line will get away from the red line, and then we'll start to move up again, right? Whenever the ribbon expands, that's when we see some strong moves. Whenever it contracts, that's kind of when we consolidate. So here we are contracting, consolidating, looking to make this ribbon expand again. That's a good thing. 3-day time frame here, bouncing right off it, bullish as hell. Weekly time frame probably didn't even touch it. Nope, not even close. And then the monthly, as always, is just a dominant beast in itself, in its own right. Right, look at this. Look at this perspective real quick, okay? We'll end the video on this ribbon perspective. We can't really do the second cycle or the first cycle. We don't have enough iterations. But if you notice here, the ribbon's contracting. It's contracting right up until about here. And then it starts to expand. And then it doesn't, Bitcoin itself, now we're going to go and set it from the ribbon. We're going to focus on Bitcoin. So the ribbon stops to contract here. Bitcoin itself tops off 26 months later. The ribbon contracts here, it stops to contract here, and it starts to move up here, starts to expand here. So from this month, the stopping of the contraction to onward from the beginning of the contraction, the all-time high was here at 31 months later, but the end of the bull cycle was here, which is about 24 months later, right? End of the bull cycle, all-time high. Certainly, this was not the end of the bull cycle, right? If this was not the beginning, because that was not the beginning of the bull cycle here, right? Or I'm sorry, this was the beginning of the bull cycle here. This was not the beginning of the bull cycle here. That was the end of the bear cycle, but not the beginning of the bull. This was the beginning of the bull. So what was in between? Crab markets, right? You can see that. You can see off of these lows, right? Bull market didn't start here. It started over here. We can see that in the ribbon too. Okay, just like over here, the bull market didn't stop here. It stopped over here, but the all-time high was over here. You can see that in the ribbon too, actually, right? We go from expanding to contracting literally at the end of the cycle. It's no mistake at all. 24 months, very close to 26 months as well. But to be fair, 26 months is also pretty close to 31 months. So however you want to look at it, I'm going to go 24 to 26, but you could keep that 31 in your back pocket, okay? Again, measuring from the contracted point out, looking at the ribbon here, the most contracted when we stopped to contract, I would say, is probably here. One could debate it's over here. We stopped contracting there. We didn't necessarily start expanding, but we contracted a little bit more here. I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go from here, from like the beginning. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go from the beginning. We're at about 23 months now. Well, that backfired in my face, didn't it? That maybe not 23 months, maybe not there then. Maybe it would be over here. 18 months. We go to 24 to 26 months. 24 would put us in September. 26 would put us in November. See, that makes more sense. And I think we'd top off right in October. So maybe it was more, it was a better use to do it here. Because you weren't necessarily contracting all this time, but you weren't ready to expand either, right? And that's kind of what we measured, was right when you stopped contracting, you started expanding. Where here, you stopped contracting here, but you didn't really start to expand till here. So moving it might seem like I'm cherry picking, but I don't think I am, man. I don't think it's that big of a difference, right? And you really did start to expand here. That's the signal that the bull cycle is getting started from the ribbon's perspective. And every time you started to expand, 24 to 26 months is the average that we got. Maybe 31 months. 31 months would put us out in 2026. 24 months at the least would put us in September. 26 months puts us in November, and I think the cycle ends in October, so that's a nice even medium there, right? Most likely, we don't stop at 26 months. We don't stop at 24 months. Most likely, it is a different number. 25 months, 23 months, 27 months, something outside of that, whatever. But I got nothing else for you guys. This last part went on way longer than I meant for it to. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want more content like this. Thank you all for being here. Bye-bye.